Well, you've been doing this for a long time, Kurt. I mean, so can you talk to most of the students in this room are associated in the music business program, so they're going to be in the support structure for artists. There are some artists and musicians here too. How do you keep a career going for that period of time? 36 years is a long time to sustain a career.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm still looking for the answer to that. But honestly, I heard it once said by George Buchanan, who was a great trombone player, that the life of a musician is a life of faith. Now, I happen to be a believer in Jesus Christ, so I'm a man of faith, but he said even if you're not, it's still a life of faith, because it's basically faith in this gift that you have, even if you don't call it a gift. It's that gift that's going to ultimately pave the way for you to make a living. So at the end of the day, you can say, well, I'll get something to fall back on. And that, may or may not be a smart thing to do, because if you spend a lot of time falling back or preparing to fall back, guess what? You just might. And my life is, I've not spent a lot of time concentrating on falling back, because I just always felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I spent a lot of energy on perfecting my craft, and ultimately my faith is that God has put this in me, and so I'm just going to go out here and do it. And that sounds kind of mystical, but ultimately there's no good answer to that question about how do you sustain a career? I mean, because there's a million different ways to do that, but the primary thing is to believe in what you have been given, invest in it, and go outside and do it. That's more or less my theory about how do you keep a career for that long. And again, I've been playing for 36 years, since I was 12, and professionally, I guess, for about 25 years. But it's really about believing in what, and you hear people say that, but that, to me, that's still it. That people can see, and they can even feel the confidence that you have, even when it's really mixed in with humility, the confidence that this is what I do, it's just what I'm put here to do. And so ultimately that really kind of is the only answer I can give to that question.
How many times a year do you play in front of people?
And that's another thing about what we do, is that it's, there's so many different ways to do it in terms of what is the mix, how there's teaching, there's playing live, there's playing recording in the studio. So there's always going to be some kind of a mix of that, and that mix will change, as one's career evolves. But for me, I guess really still the main part of my career is playing live. And so I play many times, 200 days a year, sometimes less. I think this year we'll average out to about 200 days. That's a lot of traveling, by the way. Those of you who have traveled, since 9/11, it sort of doubles the wear and tear on your body and your brain. So yeah, that's primarily, for me, it's about playing live. I do a lot of recording, and I do some teaching. Actually, there's a place in Memphis where I live called the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. Anybody ever heard of Stax Records? You better say yes if you guys are.